Here's your drill. So you got yourself the 18-inch gear tie. You're doing that. You're out on the putting green. You're doing some drills. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you hit one-handed putts with your trail hand. And we're going to go this way. We're going to feel like we're doing this. We're not going to do this. We're going to push the handle. And so when we push the handle, now all of a sudden, look at the speed of that putt. Not a lot of room in that hole, and it finds it. Okay? So you get the drill on the putting green, and I would not recommend hitting that putt one-handed with on a putt more than 10 feet. I would stay at 10 feet and possibly less, maybe even 3-4 feet. But you're just one hand. Again, I've gone to this lead hand low. If you decide that you're going to go traditional like this, then you're going to feel the exact same thing. It's going to be push out of that trail hand. Again, very good speed, and it finds the hole there. And I'm going to feel my club coming in and missing that heel tee and hitting the tee that the ball is on in the center of the club face. Oh, yeah. I peppered that one. That one there was flush in the center of the club face. Spin rate on that is really good. Get out there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love golf balls that listen. Now let's look at all of our information here, because this is really exactly what I'm trying to get. Now I have a pitching wedge. I know when I hit my pitching wedge hard that it tends to draw a little bit, but I don't have anything to worry about over on the right-hand side unless I hit it too far. My pitching wedge isn't going to go 140 yards. It's not going to go into that bunker on the right-hand side. And I don't want to be there in the first place. I want to get this thing on the green. I want to be able to be aggressive with this shot. I don't want to be defensive. If I pull a 9-iron out here and I have to take distance off it, now all of a sudden I'm bringing back left into play. And back left into play is where there's a penalty area. And I don't want to do that. So I go with a pitching wedge. Hit this thing a little bit harder, maybe even toe it in a little bit if you want to. I don't, but you can. And now we go. So there you go. This one's even a little bit harder. Now watch what happens to this one. Right at the flag, has a little drawback. Love the shot. Never put myself in any harm's way. I actually hit that farther than my 135. I hit it 138, but it was hit so hard and had so much backspin that it spun back. Had a nice little draw to it. Gibbsy, pull up that trace of that shot. I made a great decision. Welcome to A New Breed of Golf Live inside the Morgan Franklin Transformation Center. I'm Michael Breed, excited to talk to you today about rotations and rotational forces. Now, I don't want you to think that this is above your head. It's not. It's just that you have to understand how to create more speed in the club head to get speed in the ball, what's acting on the club head, how the shaft is working, all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun and excited to bring it to you. Now, before we do that and get into that, got to remind you a little bit about what we're doing on the show today. Obviously, an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you've got. All you got to do is get into the chat. As many of you know, some of you are new in this, so get into the chat, ask whatever questions that you've got. Greg will be able to pull that up, and I'm going to introduce you to Greg and Steve here in just a second. But also, too, here to help you play better golf. So if you want to talk about what we've talked about, great. If you want to kind of alter and talk about something that's important to you, maybe short game, putting, whatever, we can always go down that path. Trying to get people to understand what we're doing here. So we ask you to do us a favor as we feel like we're bringing you some instruction that's going to help you play better. Tell your friends about what we're doing. Like, subscribe, enjoy all this stuff. Get all the notifications and everything that we're doing. We're trying to build this community right now. We've worked hard. You've done a great job. We're over 42,000, but we're on our way to 100,000. That's our goal, and we can't do it without your assist. So please do so. Now, before I get into all the other little things that I got to do, let me introduce you to my partners in crime, Steve Gibbs and Greg Ducharme. Gibbsy on the left-hand side, Greg on the right, and that's exactly what I was hoping to see. More inconsistencies in performance, which is why I love these guys so much. I want to tell you about what we've got. We've got our Blessed poker chip ball markers. We're selling these like hotcakes, which is another line that I just love. $6 for these. If you're interested, send an email to me at newbreedogolf@michaelbreed.com, and we will make sure that you get your blessed poker chip ball markers, a wonderful gift for the upcoming holiday season. Also, too, we've got hats that we're selling. We've got putter covers that we're selling as well, varying colors in that. Yeah, we got the red, white, and blue out there for you, but that doesn't mean that that's what we're limited to. We've got tans, we've got greens, we've got black, red, all these different colors. So all you got to do is email me if you're interested in getting that. Now, I want to talk to you about where you can gain a little bit more speed and understanding how to create a little bit more speed in your golf swing. And speed in the golf swing is an important part of distance. It's what we know. How do we get more distance? We've got to swing harder. How do we swing harder? Well, one way we swing harder is we swing faster. And what I like to do is I don't like to say swing hard. I like to say swing fast. So how do we create fast speed? Well, you have to understand rotation, because when we swing, we're not moving, but we're moving. And what I mean by that is this: if we go full here, I'm not going to get a running start and then throw a ball like I do in baseball or football. Take a step up and throw it, right? What I'm doing is I'm standing still. My feet are somewhat, we're not lifting up our foot and hitting it like you may see in baseball, right? Congratulations to the Rangers, by the way. This up and down, that's a sort of a load into that trail, and also to get some speed and some rotation going forward. In golf, our feet are planted, but it doesn't mean that we have to be planted. What it means is that we have to understand that there's a rotation that's going to take place that's going to allow us to build speed to create potential distance. And the reason why I say potential is this thing can go fast, but if I don't hit the ball in the center of the club face, I'm not going to get the ball to go fast. Okay. So you have to understand that the impact position is really important. Where that happens on the club is really important in distance, right? So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to make a swing here, just a normal swing, my normal swing, which has a little bit of lateral or linear and a little bit of rotation for a shot shape that I like to see. So a 6-iron I have in my hand, as many of you know, I typically am trying to get about 175, 180 out of this club. I'm trying to get the ball speed into the 116, 118 area. I'm trying to get the club to go to the left and the club face to go to the right, so I can hit a little bit of a cut shot. This one here, it is not cutting the way that I want, but come on up to the front here so that we can understand what I'm trying to create, because these are pretty consistent numbers here, okay? So that ball carried 176. That's about what I'm going to do. And you'll notice that this had 120 RPMs of left spin. So that means that had a little bit of a draw. So I had the club face a little bit open. But having said all that, that's not disastrous. That's on the left edge of the green, slightly left of where I was trying to hit it. It's a relatively straight shot, maybe just a little bit of a fall left drop. But it's not a hook. It's not detrimental. Now I look at my numbers. Clubhead speed's at 84. That's about what I can expect. Ball speed about 118. That's what I can expect. The apex at about 85. I typically am playing at about 90, but with that club face a little closed, which is exactly why that ball turned to the left, that apex is going to come down a little bit. But 5 feet, you're not going to know the difference. It's relatively similar. And then my descent angle about at 43. That's typically where I'm playing. Now, if I get into what I'll call linear or lateral motion in the golf swing, all these numbers are going to drop. They're all going to get lower. But what's going to get lower as well, and most importantly, is the ball speed. Okay? So if I go into a sort of a linear swing, I'm going to be sliding this way like this and lift up. And then I'm going to slide this way. And there's going to be a little bit of turning that takes place just because the speed of the club going that way is going to make me kind of turn and hang on to that club. So I'll get a little bit of a turn, but not up into the strike. Okay. So this is going to be just a little bit linear. So I'm up, no turn, and then there, a little bit of move. Pretty straight shot. But now come on up here to the front, because this is where the information tells us what's going on here. So that club head speed dropped to about 70 miles an hour. I lost 14 miles an hour. without getting any rotation. The shot was pretty good. It started a little bit to the left-hand side, 1.4 degrees to the left-hand side, and it had a little bit of right spin. So that's the shot shape that I want. There's a great shot, Gibbsy. So that ball started a little left of target, fell back down to the target. But this thing's in the water that's fronting the green because that ball only went 127 yards. And only went 127 yards because the ball speed was only 93. Pretty solid. 70 miles an hour of clubhead speed, 93 miles an hour ball speed. That's pretty efficient. But the problem is that that's way beyond, way below what I typically deliver at 84, and it's not beyond what I have at 84. Now what I'm going to do is this. This is where this is going to get fun. Now, on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make all rotational motion. There's going to be a little lateral shift that happens, just the same way as I said, when I'm working all lateral or linear, I'm going to get a little rotation. So when I go max rotation, I'm still going to get some linear movement. But watch what's going to happen. I'm not going to swing hard yet. I'm going to save that for just a second. But watch what's going to happen. I'm going to get a faster clubhead speed, should be faster than 84, and I should get a faster ball speed, provided I hit it in the center of the club face. Now, all I'm going to do here is just allow my hips to rotate, allow my chest to rotate as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to get way back here like this. My foot won't come up in the air, but for some, you may find it beneficial to let that foot come up into the air there. Okay, so this is all rotation back, and then when I come through, I'm just rotating. As much as I can rotate, I'm just going to rotate. So here we go. I hit that a little fat. So that's going to bring everything down a little bit. Clubhead speed went up 1 mile an hour, but the ball speed only went 115. So I got 85 miles an hour clubhead speed. This is pretty interesting. So fat shot, 85 miles an hour of clubhead speed. That's about the same, maybe a little faster, but ball speed down because I hit it fat. Distance about the same, 173. So I hit it fat, but I got that ball to cooperate. Now look at what happens to my shot shape individually. For me, that ball now starts way more to the right and it turns dramatically to the left, which is why I personally, I don't swing this way. I like to turn the ball from left to right. I used to swing this way and had a tremendous amount of distance, but my accuracy kind of came down. All right. Now, what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to turn a little bit more, not more turn, but more speed in my turns, particularly coming through. So I'm going to increase clubhead speed. Again, ball speed is going to be dependent upon the impact. Okay. So a lot of turn into the backswing, a ton of turn in the through swing. That was really good. Now watch what happens to this. This golf ball is going to carry 195 yards in the air. That one there, 197.4. Look at what happened to my clubhead speed now. Now the clubhead speed's at 89. That's 5 miles an hour faster than I normally get. The ball speed jumped up to 127. That tells you I got it in the center of the club face. So that 127 is up from that 118. I picked up almost, call it 9 miles an hour of ball speed on 5 miles an hour more clubhead speed. And how that translated into distance, I got about 20 more yards of distance in that just by doing a little faster spinning. Now, I'm going to go into my max stuff here, okay? So this is going to be maximum amount of turn, maximum amount of speed. So I'm going to get a lot of rotation back, a lot of rotation through, and as fast as I possibly can. I have no idea where this ball is going to go, which is why I don't swing this way. But it's important for you to understand this, because when you incorporate this, what you're going to find out is how fast can I go where my body can handle it and I can follow the golf ball without a lot of problem. Okay. So this is going to be max. I should be able to get this over 130. I don't know whether I'll get this thing to 200. It's going to be close. Here we go. So that's everything that I own. And look at that. Okay. So there you go. So come on over here. There you are, Gibbsy. So ball speed, I got to 130. And I've gotten faster. I could get a little bit more, but I got to 130. Clubhead speed's at 90. So I'm up 6. That ball flew 202 yards. I don't play my 6-iron to go 202. I play it 175 to 180. That's 25 yards farther than I normally play my 6-iron. But Gibbsy, pull up that shot, because what you could see is that's a lot of curve, and probably it's my most off the grid golf ball. If you look at that golf ball, that's the farthest left of that target that we have in the distance there. It's the farthest left of that, of any of the shots that I've hit. And obviously also too, the most amount of curve. Come back over here, and what you see is the side spin went up to about 1,400. So what does that all mean? It means that is, while at a fast club head speed and ball speed, a difficult golf ball to chase there. And there's a predictability. When I hit my 6-iron, I want to be able to predict how far am I going to be able to hit this ball. And all of a sudden, if I'm trying to get 180 out of it and I get 207, I'm on the next tee. I'm in the next time zone. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not on the green, and I'm certainly not close to the flag, which is the purpose of the iron shot. So let me just have a little bit more fun with this driver, because this is always a fun thing to show you as well. So with my driver, when I make my driver motion, I'm playing at about somewhere between 150 ball speed and 153. Club head speed is hovering around 103. That's pretty much where I'm playing now. And by the way, I've increased that in the last couple of years, working on a couple of things with my boy Chris Finn, and also too some instructional things that I share with you both here on YouTube and also too on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all those places where we're putting out content. Okay, so a couple little different things that I've done to increase my speed. But when I swing the way that I swung with that 6-iron with this driver, I all of a sudden get much greater numbers. Okay. And I don't know whether I'm going to get them right now, because obviously I'm relying upon the centerness of the strike, but I should be able to get this thing, the ball speed, close to 160. So 7 miles an hour faster. And I should be able to get my driver speed sort of above 106. Going to do a little bit more twisting and speeding, and let's see what we can get here. Now, here we go. So that ball is really, really twisting quite a bit. In fact, when you see that, now that flag, that bucket's out there at about 300. So that's kind of getting close to that. Not that swing. That's not one that I'm going to be able to make time and time and time again. But let's look at these numbers. So club head speed up to 109. I hit that ball a little off the toe, but the ball speed is at 159. So that's way up from where my normal play is. I'm, like I said, 151 to 153. Now all of a sudden I'm up at 159 on a toe hit. So I'm sniffing 160 there. And then that golf ball carries 270 and out to 296. Now, when I do all this and I lace it, get it in the center of the club face, it nibbles it to 300. I've got what I'm calling warning track speed. I get it out there close to 300, but I can't get it over 300. But I'm not unhappy with, if I can get 286, it's worth a gamble. If I'm playing in a scramble, that's worth a gamble. Go ahead and pull that shot full if you would, Gibbsy. What you can see there is that the ball starts to the right-hand side, and then it twists back to the left-hand side. It apexes at about 114 feet, and it's a shot that you can chase that shot. I can't fade the ball when I do this, but I do swing it faster, and I do get greater distance. All right. Now, what are the arts of swinging the body rotationally? And then what forces are acting on this? So let's talk about that for just a second. We talked about this on the radio show about the hammer throw. So I have it's not a wiffle ball. This is a ball that my kids use when they're hitting balls in the yard, so they can hit a ball that has a little bit of weight to it, but doesn't go as far. So if I take this thing, go ahead, pull it full, Gibbsy, if you would, and I swing my arm laterally here as fast as I can. This is literally no bends, as fast as I can, just laterally. You could barely, if at all, hear this thing. Now, when I spin this, you can hear that speed, because what's happening is that as I'm spinning this ball is now being pulled away from the center, and it's pulling the shoelace taut. So you can see how that thing works. And now when I want to let go of it, I let go of it, and then it'll fly away. It won't fly in a rotation. It'll fly straight, because it's just speed. So when you're thinking about, well, if I do this turning thing, what is it going to do to the golf ball? It's not going to twist it in all kinds of different directions. It's going to throw more club head speed into the club head, and it's going to allow you to hit the ball farther. So what you have to do is you have to be able to spin your body or rotate your body. That's something that, again, Chris Finn, we talk about that a lot. You have to be able to spin. You have to be able to strike the ball solidly, and then you have to be able to know the fastest you can do that at without hurting your body and without missing the strike, right? So if I'm going to try to find what is the fastest I can go with the most amount of speed and spin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a lot of it. And so that one there had a lot of it. And what you can see is that golf ball is going to come down pretty much in the center. Hang on to this one, Gibbsy. Go back to that shot if you would. And when this pulls full, which it's going to do in a couple of seconds, what you're going to see is that ball started to the right and had a nice draw to it. Now, come on up here, and what you can see is club head speed there was 88 miles an hour. So a little bit under what I maxed that out, but still pretty fast. And 125 miles an hour ball speed. Again, 7 miles an hour faster than my fastest with my 6-iron when I'm playing the shot shape that I want. And now we come up here to the distance, and all of a sudden I've got that thing flying 190 yards. So I picked up 15 yards just by doing that. I can play at that. I can definitely play it at that speed. And then as we look at all these other numbers, the apex 100, that's going to go up because the speed's going up. The descent angle is going to go up from 43 to 46, so it's going to land a little bit softer. I can play at that. Okay? So now what I want to do is I go, okay, let's just see what happens when I try to go max speed. Now, this is max speed, obviously, without hurting yourself, but max speed here, right? So when I go max speed, this is when you're going to start to see a little bit of a miss hit, which is going to be reflected in the curve of the shot. It's also going to start, that one started about 2.4 degrees to the right. I can play with that. But once it's starting way right of that or way left of that, very difficult to play consistently with that shot shape. So here we go. This is going to be max rotation, max speed. Now, I lost my balance a little bit on that one. That ball, there you go. So these numbers are really curious numbers for me. So I lost my balance on that because I was swinging so hard at that. And what I ended up getting a shot. Go ahead, pull that shot full if you would, Gibbsy. Look at how far to the right that ball started. It didn't turn back. I missed the green probably. If I'm on the green, it's way, way, way on the right-hand side, depending upon what I was aiming at, hole locations, whatever. And now you start to look at this, 89 miles an hour of club head speed. So all of a sudden, all that effort, I only got 1 more mile an hour of club head speed. I did catch it pretty solidly. The ball speed there went up to nearly 130, 129. So that's way up with that extra mile an hour of club head speed. But it's not something that I can play because that thing started 6 degrees to the right. I also had 836 RPMs of left spin, and I still wasn't able to get it back to my target. So all of a sudden, I need to have more left spin at that point, which means I'm all of a sudden going to not be able to control the distance of the shot. That one there flew 193, right? I don't know how far I'm trying to hit it, but all of a sudden, if you play that as your max number, I'm going to play my 6-iron as 195. I have to swing as hard as I possibly can and hit it dead center of the face to get that thing to get close to 195. It's just very difficult to predict. Not bad to do with a driver. Certainly not something that you want to do with your irons. So now we get into, okay, so I want to get some turn, but I don't want to do it as fast as I can. And I also don't want to do it as much as I can. So that's where we start to find the rhythm and the balance and the motion that makes sense for us. Okay. And then the second thing is, what are you really turning? What is allowing you to turn? So very interesting question. So let me back into that by finding what I can throttle down to. So let's throttle back down. Let's see if we can get 87, 88 in this. So that's got a pretty good strike on this one. Now, this is again part of the problem, right? I'm trying to get 87 or 88 in the club head speed. I got 89 in the club head speed. So close, but more than I want, which means that shot's going to go 192. You can see that went one. Well, what if I'm only trying to get 185? Maybe I just want 10 yards more. I got 7 yards more. Now I'm over the green. I'm in a back bunker. I'm chipping downhill. I got a lot of bad things that are going on with that shot, even though that shot, go ahead back to that full screen. That ball's coming down right around the target. So it's not a bad directional shot, but I don't get the distance that I'm looking for, which is why I don't go down this path, but it is something that I need you to consider. Now, let's talk about what we're doing with creating this rotation, because there are many of you that are dying for more speed. You're going, man, this is awesome. I'm getting this ball to go a little bit farther, and I see that you're doing that. Because if I go back to my normal swing, that club head speed is going to come down to 83 or 84. The ball speed is going to be 116, 117, 118. Then my distance is going to be 175, 176. Like, that's predictable for me. And it's going to start left and it's going to fade a little to the right. That's what I rely on. Okay. But we want a little bit more club head speed, particularly with the big boy over there. So we want a little more club head speed. How do we do that? Well, we got to get more turning. We got to get more rotational. All right. And no matter how much rotation you're getting, you can always use a little bit more. And then you got to understand how to create, particularly with the driver, max rotation and max speed. That's the thing that you want based on what you can control in the shot shape. So when I talk about max speed and max rotation, I'm not talking the complete amount of rotation that you can create. What I'm talking about is the maximum amount you can create while still being able to control the shape of the shot. Okay. So what am I turning? Well, here's what I'm imagining. Okay. What I imagine is that my right hip and my right shoulder are connected by a bar. And when I take the club back, my hip and my shoulder turn as one. So they're spinning back together as much as I can. Now, it might not be as much as you physically can, but it may be as much as you feel like you can, right? So that's going to be the thing that's rotating. I am not at any point trying to make this bar go that way. I'm trying to make this bar go back to the Morgan Franklin sign. I'm trying to make it go that way. So if you look at the bar itself, it's not going at all back. It's going to go forward this way. The direction is going that way. It's also going that way. So if this is a clock, 12 o'clock is over there. 3 o'clock is right there. 9 o'clock is there. And that's 6 o'clock. I want my right hip and right shoulder, or trail hip, trail shoulder, to go back towards the 9 o'clock position that way. And I want it to twist or spin over to 12. So it's going to go that way. So my shoulder is going to actually move back and forward. My hip is going to move back and forward. So when I move back and forward, now what's going to happen is, if you just look at the down the line view, the one on the left, the club is going to go way in here like this. It's going to track in here like this. So I go hip back and forward, and that club is going to go to the inside there, and it's going to produce draw. Many of you are struggling with producing draw. Many of you produce fade. Now, hold on to that shot, Greg. Let's pull that club path up, because I want to show them what happens with the path of the golf club there. And what you can see right here with the path of this golf club is it's 8.7 degrees into out. It starts 2 degrees to the right, or to the right of center. So what that means is the path is going to the right, say 9 degrees, but the ball is only going to the right, say 2 degrees. So that means that ball has there's a closed club face relative to path, a closed club face that turns that ball back to the left. It's going to be a draw. That one there happened to have about 1,000 RPMs of left spin. And if you pull that shot full, Gibbsy, what you all are going to see is, Gibbsy, can you pull? There you go. So what you're going to see is that ball started to the right of the target, and then it spun back to the left. Too much spin, but it spun back to the left-hand side, And again, 125 miles an hour ball speed. So pretty good there, and total distance of 190. Okay. Now, I don't want to play that much, but that worked out nicely. So why did that draw a little bit more? Well, because there's rotation on the forward side as well. And so what you have to have is you have to have a rotational motion on the forward side. Again, not forward, but back to, for me, the 9 o'clock position. So I'm going to twist this back like this, and then I'm going to twist shoulder hip back to that 9 o'clock position again. And what that does is it takes the club and it works it around. So now I'm not going to swing this fast. I'm going to twist back and twist through. So twist back and twist through. Now, what you're going to see with that twist through with the club is you're going to see that the path of that club is going to come from the inside, but it's only going to come from the inside 2.1 degrees. So when it comes 2.1 degrees, now all of a sudden, it's starting more on the line. So you have to get twist back and you have to get twist forward, okay? So we start to get twisting back and twisting forward. We get comfortable with the rotational forces of this. And then what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're swinging that ball. So what I mean by that is this hammer throw thing again. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing this ball this way. And what you can see is that in order for me to move that ball, I have to spin. I spin back and I spin through. I'm not sliding back and sliding through. I'm rotating back and rotating through. Okay? So now I have that feeling of rotation, almost like the club head is the ball. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it back and I'm going to rotate it through. So rotate back and rotate through. So there's rotating back and rotating through. And now I get a pretty straight shot. 85.5 miles an hour of club head speed, 124 miles an hour of ball speed. And that ball flew in the air, 185, a pretty straight shot. But look at the numbers now up here, Gibbsy. And what you can see is carry distance 185, total distance 187. So pretty good. Apex at 96. Really like that. Like those numbers are really good. Ball speed jumps up to 124. Again, not what I play at, but a lot faster than I normally play out, which means at where I am, which I'm comfortable with, I have more speed that I can get. And one of the things that's important, and I emphasize this, like there are some of you that when you're playing, you play at a speed that you're comfortable with. But you should know through a little practice that you've got speed that you can go get, right? If I'm playing in a scramble format and I've got my three partners have hit their tee shots and they're all good and I want to go get it, I now know, hey, you know what? If I just add a little spin in the backswing here and I add a little bit of spin in the through swing and I pick up the speed of what I'm doing, I've got a chance of hitting it a little faster and a little bit farther. And the value of that is huge, because what that means is that you aren't regulated to a certain club head speed or distance with your driver, that there's more for you to get out there, but you got to understand how to do it. And so here's my suggestion for you. What I did a long time ago, I took a rope, folded it in half, put a grip on it, and what I do is I swing it. And what you're going to find is that when you swing laterally, it doesn't make any noise. Okay? But when I swing rotationally and I get a little lift from my arms, and I let this get on my back, and then I rotate my body, now all of a sudden I can create some speed. So I go back, back, and that's all rotation. So I do that drill to get a feeling of rotation, because the looseness in that rope forces you into rotation. You can't You can't get that thing taught without rotating. That rotational speed is going to pull that rope, okay? And now what you do is you do the exact same thing with the golf club. Now it's really, really weird. And I mean that. It is really a weird, strange feeling when you go from swinging the rope to swinging a golf club, okay? But not with your body, just with the feel of it in your hands. So, same thing here, rotating both back and forward, getting that feel of that rope. And it's just, I gotta just tell you right now, it is incredibly clumsy when you go from swinging the rope to swinging the club. But come on up to the front, because this is what you're going to see. So I completely whiffed the shot. It was a poor contact, only 114 miles an hour of clubhead speed. I mean, of ball speed. But my clubhead speed was 86.3, which means it was faster than what I normally play at. So I did get a bad strike because of the clumsiness of going from the rope to the golf club, but I swung it faster. So now do the exact same thing. Add a little bit of speed into this one. Not swing faster, just more rotational. But now the club is going to feel a little bit more normal because I've given it a little bit of time, maybe even a little practice swing. Let's see if we can get clubhead speed and ball speed up a little bit. So there you go. So now come on up to the front. And what you can see up here is the following. Clubhead speed right at 86.4, which again is faster, a couple miles an hour faster than I normally play. Ball speed goes up to 124.4. So call it 124. That's about 6 miles an hour faster than I play. And then that golf ball flew 190 in the air, which is about 15, maybe 10 to 15 miles an hour farther than I normally play. And if I take that into my driver, now all of a sudden, I'm going to develop, well, more clubhead speed, more ball speed, more distance, but more importantly, a shorter approach shot. And I was having this conversation with one of my students earlier this week, explaining to them that the game of golf is a game of par threes. How far is your par three? There are 18 potential par threes on the golf course. 4 are decided by the individual setting up the golf course, and the other 14 are decided by you. How far do you hit your drive, and where do you hit it? The longer you hit it, the straighter you hit it, the shorter par three you play. And the shorter your par three, well, of course, the lower you're going to shoot. And so distance is a real value. And clubhead speed is very important, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a little bit more body turn back, body turn through. And let's see if we can get this to get, again, my number that I'm going to play normally like 151 to 153. So I'm looking for a little faster ball speed. 103 in the clubhead speed. I'm looking for a little bit faster clubhead speed, but I don't want massive hook in this. Okay, so rotate and rotate. Okay, so I got everything that I wanted to get except the accuracy and the timing of that. Missed it. So this is why they make so many practice golf balls. Okay, because you need practice. What did I get there? So pretty fun. So I got 156 ball speed, which is good. I got 111 clubhead speed. Now, completely poor outcome, and you saw that thing was really hard to chase, but I got faster. That's what we're hoping to do. We just got to get some control over it, which you get with a little bit of repetition. So here we go. Okay, so this one is, again, a little bit faster. That one there is 158 miles an hour of ball speed there. A shutdown club face. That thing doesn't have a lot of trajectory to it, hard one to chase, which you can understand now. I don't practice this stuff, but I do know how to create a little bit more speed. Let's see if I can get one that we can chase down a little bit easier here. So a little bit more rotation. Here we go. So this is pretty good. The clubhead speed on that one is 100. Go over to the screen if you would, Gibbsy. This is the one that we want because we got a little bit of a misread on that one. But look at the club head speed, 106. 106 is 3 miles an hour faster than I'm normally playing. So now I got my speed. I just don't have my impact point. I don't have the control over the club face and where the club is in space. Let me hit one more, and then, Greg, we're going to get to some questions here. All right, so here we go. Oh, that was perfect. It didn't pick it up, but that was perfect. All right.
Too fast.
Let's get, sometimes the simulator just gets a little bit confused with massive club head speeds and massive ball speeds. Let's get some questions here. Go ahead,
All right.
Gregory.
First one from Michael. Good afternoon. How do I complete my swing? A lot of times I finish somewhat like Mr. Palmer and do not wrap the club around my body. Or is this finish okay? I'm 70 years old, swing speed with the driver, 95 to 98 miles.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. All right, so look, so when you're talking about getting some finish, which is our word of the day, by the way, our word of the day today is finish. What it's telling me is that your body is not continuing to rotate through. So just think about this for a second. At address, your arms and hands are in front of your chest. If I turn my chest to the target, my arms and hands are in front of my chest. Okay? Now, all I have to do at that point is let my arms get up here. There's my finish. Now, if I overturn, and my chest now turns to the left of the target here, now all of a sudden, that's a full finish. So the finish is not, it doesn't have to do with letting your arms get past your body. It has to do with your body continuing to spin. So don't go chase this shot, Gibbsy. I'm just going to do a finish here, right? So when I rotate through, that's my Rory McIlroy through, my body spun over to what I'll call 10 o'clock. 12 o'clock is the target. And I want to spin so much that my chest faces to 10 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin my chest so it faces over there. And you need to practice it. That rope is going to help you. I guarantee it. Get yourself a rope. You don't have to put a grip on it. Get yourself a rope and work on letting your chest face over to 10 o'clock for the right-handed golfer. If it's a left-handed golfer, 2 o'clock. Okay? And that will get you through it, and that will get you the finish that you're looking for. And it may look like Mr. Palmer. I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that it's going to be fuller than what it is right now. Okay? All right. Interesting question. Go ahead, Gregory.
Okay, this one from Daniel. I've been able to eliminate my slice working on an inside-out path and stronger grip. My miss is a pull draw or pull hook, likely from PTSD due to worrying about it going right. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, so this is really a fun one. And what I'll do is because I don't want to chase these tees all over the place, so I'm going to go to a 6-iron, but I want you to understand this as best you can, okay? So let me see here. All right, let me take this. So Gibbsy, let's go down the line with a 7, but go a little closer in, okay? So let's assume that the swing is in a circle, okay? Now, this is pretty nutty, but it is what it is. So let's just assume that that's a circle, okay? Now, what happens is this. Come on up to me here, Gibbsy. So if I go after a ball that's forward, because it's on the forward part of the circle, the path is going to be going a little bit more to the left. If I play the ball back here, the path is going to be going more out to the right. So if I'm hitting shots that are going left to left, the simplest thing to do is to play a back ball position. So I'm going to get rid of that ball position, and I'm going to get rid of that ball position. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to start with this ball position, which is going to be back. So let's put it there. I'm going to move this out of the way. So now come face on there, Gibbsy, if you could. And now you can see that ball position is back. Now, if I make my turn and my turn through, the path of the club should be working a little bit in to out, and it will push it to the right. We'll check what the path information is when I hit this golf ball, okay? So because the ball position is now back, it's inviting a path that's going to go out to the right. Now, let's pull that information full, and let's see what we get with the path. Because what we're worried about, you can see that ball didn't go to the left. Look at the path now. That's 13.1 degrees in to out. The angle of attack is 6.4. So it's not like it levels out. It's just at a different spot in the circle. If I take that ball and I move that ball a little bit more forward from there, so now it's back, but it's not way back. And then I do the same thing. What should happen is the path should be less than 13.4. It should be less than that, right? Maybe in the 8s, 9s, 10s. So let's see what the path was on that. All I did with that one there was, and that's closer to my target, but all I did there was I took there you go, 8.2. So I moved the ball forward from the most back position. But the other thing that's really interesting for you to understand was it might not have been as forward as my original play position. So this is where you have to experiment with moving that ball back or forward. But the simple answer for you is this. If I'm hitting shots that are going left to left, I know my club face is a little bit closed, but I also think my ball position is too far forward. And when I move the ball back, what happens is the path starts coming a little bit more in to out than that forward ball position. But what also happens too is it opens up the club face a little bit. And so that shot that I hit there, we pull that full there, Gibbsy. What you see there is not a lot of curve to the left, only 550 RPMs of left spin. It started to the right, it spun back to the left, but it didn't overspin to the left. And what that means is that my club face was less closed. Path was more to the right, 8.1 from the very forward ball position, but not so closed that it overhooks it because I move that ball back. So my path now is a little bit better. My club face is opened up a little bit more. When it gets forward, that path is now going left, but the face is also still a little bit more closed than we want, and we get left to left, okay? And that'll take care of that PTSD thing you're dealing with, all right? All right, go ahead.
All right. We got something else to take care of with JP because it sounds like he's getting a little greedy. Looking to gain distance, but also controllable distance. How do we maintain control with higher speeds?
It is Halloween, and so you're reaching into that bucket of goodies, and you're getting more than one.
Take a handful.
That's all we're doing. Now take the whole bucket, right? I want the whole bucket, and I'm not handing any out. I'm keeping it all for myself. So we want to hit it long and straight. How do we do that? Well, you can get a little bit of everything in the bucket here. The most important part of it is striking it in the center of the club face. It really is. It's the most important part of the success of a shot. So let me go over here and grab this thing here, and this will help you. This is a little device that I've made. It's what I call a U-bar. So put it over here. Yeah, you can see that right there. So PVC pipe, it's got a couple of legs to it. And then what I do is I just put that on the ground like that there. And what it does for me is it gives me sort of a path to move the club through. And so when I tend to work with this, what it does is it helps me get the club down the line, which is why you'll see that shot, though not far, dead. It's really right at my target. It's a very, very straight shot. And the path of that golf club, hey Greg, hold on to that path, if you will. So you can see that path is nearly zero. It's 0.2 out to in, which in effect is dead square. Okay, so I had a dead square path. And so what I like to do is I like to imagine this thing. I like to work with this, and I like to imagine it when I'm playing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that thing, and then I'm going to do my twisting. So I see this path that's right here. And now I'm going to do my twisting. Not going to do max, just going to twist. And what you can see there is It's a relatively straight shot. Maybe a little bleedy to the right, but it didn't hook. Okay, let's try it again. So I'm seeing that U-bar down on the ground, and I'm twisting, but I'm going to control that path. And there you go. So I twisted, I controlled the path, and all of a sudden I get a shot that's fairly accurate and going at what I want. You have to be able to control that path. That's an interesting one, Greg. Hang on to that. Yeah, go back to that. This is really interesting because there you go. So that one was 1.6 into out. That's very small. That's a shot you can easily chase. So by working with the U-bar and then imagining the U-bar, throwing in my twisting motion, my spinning motion, I'm generating maximum club head speed, but also too, by focusing on that path, now I'm getting the club to kind of drive down the line that I want, which is going to allow me to get that in the center of the club face. So you can get that. It's going to take a little bit of work. You can get that. You just got to get that U-bar, and it's easy to build. It really is. It's easy to build. You're going to get a couple pieces of PVC pipe. In fact, you know what? If you're interested in that, just send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Send me an email, and I'll tell you how to make a U-bar. Okay. All right, Gregory.
Okay, this one is from Jason. Do you think more injuries are happening because more players are using less lower body? God bless you.
Thank you. Do I think more injuries are happening because they're using less lower body? No, I don't. I think more injuries are happening because of, so again, this is kind of history, right? So the game of golf used to have a lot of reverse C. This is before perimeter weighted clubs were in the game, and the golf ball came out pretty low. So we had to alter our swings to try to get the ball up into the air, pull it full, if you would, Gibbsy. And what we did was we had a reverse C. So there was a lot of fall back in the body like this, and we were getting low back injuries. And then when perimeter weighting showed up, now all of a sudden the back injuries actually started to lessen. But then what started happening was, because of the perimeter weighting and the lack of the necessity to hit it in the dead center of the club face, now all of a sudden we could start swinging faster. Body wasn't necessarily prepared to swing faster. And then what we started doing to swing faster was we started to increase trail side bend in an effort to maintain the elbow bend. We started getting trail side bend, and all of a sudden we start putting a lot of compression on that low back, combined with the fact that we haven't really allowed for recovery. And when you put all those together, that's where you start getting some issues in the back. Now, can you swing fast and not hurt your back? Yes. But in order for you to do that, you have to know the situation of the rest of your body. This is what we talk about with Chris Finn all the time, about getting evaluated, which is what John Rahm is doing. You got to understand what your body can and can't do. You have to understand your safe swing speeds. You have to understand how your body works and how it works most efficiently, right? And so what I would say is it's not really a lack of rotation. In fact, I would argue that there's more rotation through the golf ball nowadays than there might have been. However, let me just show you something that I think that you will find very interesting. At least I find very interesting. If I go into my historical golf swings here, and I go over to a Sam Snead swing, which is one of my favorite swings, what you will see, and there's no doubt about it, is tremendous amount of lower body rotation. So if you look at his lower body rotation, which is right here, so you just look at that, what you're going to see is that when he starts to turn, his right hip and right shoulder are working way behind him, which is exactly what we talked about before. There's a lot more lean forward out of that trail leg than we have. And what happens is that when we lean into that trail leg and we post up this way, now all of a sudden you can actually get a lot more rotation, which is what he has. It's almost, not quite, but almost 90 degrees of lower body rotation. And I would say his upper body is past 100. And that's why that golf club, even with a 90-degree angle between his forearm and the shaft, has still traveled well past parallel to the ground. But watch what he does when he comes through. The knees are going to split. the trail or the lead hip is going to rotate back behind him. So he's going to go like this. Look at those knees split. And that's because this hip that's right there is now working to the 9 o'clock position and spinning out. So you now see massive space in between the knees right there. And then he pushes back. So there's there's a lot of rotation, no question about it. But it's not necessarily true that there's more forward rotation. It's actually there's less backward rotation, and there's less backward rotation because you don't have to work that hard anymore with the way the golf clubs work now. You don't have to work that hard to create a lot of club head speed. The other thing is, and we've seen through time, people are able to create club head speed in a lot of different ways. Some create it through what goes on in the trail arm. Some are creating it with the speed of the chest. Some are creating it with the speed of the hips. And some are creating it by having more rotation. Various different ways to do it. I think the other thing is, and finally, the other thing is that when you start trying to hit cuts, you almost want a little less backward rotation. So when I'm trying to hit my cut shot, I don't want this club to get in here. I don't want to have my hands deep in the swing. I want to have my hands sort of here so that I can get them in front and across a little bit easier. So I'm not going to have a lot of rotation in my backswing because I don't want my hands to get so deep. But I still want more rotation in the through swing. So I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to go that way, and that ball is all of a sudden going to start to the left-hand side. Now, I didn't have control over the club face there, so it didn't peel back to the right the way that I wanted to peel back, but the path of the club is a little bit over the top there, and that allows me to get that ball to start to the left-hand side. I don't necessarily think about rotating in the backswing. I used to think about that a lot when I was hitting draws, and if you want to get away from hitting fades, the best thing you can do is think about rotating those hips and shoulders in the backswing, create that depth, and then the club's going to come from the inside there, okay? I know it's a very roundabout answer to the question that you asked. The answer is I don't think that there's more rotation in the through swing. I do think that there's probably a little less rotation in the backswing. Go ahead.
Okay, this one from Don. Last week you addressed side bend. Can that side bend be incorporated along with the rotation that you're addressing today?
It absolutely can be incorporated in that. And I'm a big fan. There is side bend. You have to have side bend. It's just the amount of side bend, and that's going to depend on the amount of that trail elbow, right? But there's always side bend. When you rotate back this way and you go down, I've got lead side bend. There's no bend in my chest. Go to the face on view. There's no bend in my hips here. I'm not bent this way at the top of the backswing. I'm straight, but I'm in side bend. Well, when I come through now and I'm rotating through this way, now I've got a lot of side bend over here. Not a lot of forward bend, but a lot of side bend. So there is side bend. Just because you're rotating doesn't mean that you are losing side bend. You have side bend. The thing that makes you have more side bend or less side bend is how much that trail arm is bent, which is definitely a speed or a power source. Okay? All right, go ahead.
Okay, from Andrew. Hi, I play links golf in Ireland. I find I hit my driver with a decent carry, but it just doesn't run out as far as I feel like it should. What is the optimal launch or descent angle for a driver? My club head speed average is between 100 and 105.
Okay, so you're right with me in the same club head speed. Let's just call it 103. That's where I live. And so what I would say is if you're hitting that golf ball and you're not getting a rollout in Ireland, which should be firm, and I know it can rain over there, but it should be firm, right? So if you're not getting a rollout, that leads me to one place. And that question, Greg, where does that lead you?
To the driver, the club itself.
The club itself.
And the fit.
That's exactly right. Did you get fit for your driver? And if you did get fit for your driver, is the driver giving you the optimal launch angle, which if you're like me, the launch angle that you're trying to get is probably around 14. The spin rate you're trying to get is around 2,100 to 2,400, somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay. Again, depending upon shot shapes, draws, and fades. The apex should be at about 90 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. And with less spin, 2,400 RPMs of backspin, Now all of a sudden that ball should roll out, 20 yards, and over in Ireland, even more than that. And so if it's not rolling out, then chances are you've got too much backspin. Maybe there's a slice that you're getting in that shot. So you're coming across that golf ball, and that's giving you a little bit more side spin than you want. And that side spin is a braking system, so it stops the ball from rolling out. So I would say, possibly go get fit. And if you did get fit, go get fit again, because it's quite possible that what you got fit for, and this is where things get really curious, what you got fit for isn't the right fit now. And the final thing that I would add in this, and again, those of you that have watched me or listened to me for the years that I've been doing this stuff, I'm very proud of my partnerships, my relationships, but I'm not in my partnerships and relationships because I make money. I'm in them because they're the best. And Titleist is the best. It's just a simple fact. Whether you like them or you don't, it's a simple fact. And so what I would say is that if your golf ball is flying too high and it's got a little more spin than you want it to have, I would experiment with going to a Pro V1 or maybe even an AVX to try to take some spin out, right? So if you want to just experiment, you've got the equipment that you've got, and you want to experiment with something, go get yourself a sleeve or 2 sleeves of Pro V1s and get yourself a couple of sleeves of AVXs and go out and hit them and see what ends up happening. Does the ball go a little bit farther? Does it feel a little different? Does it spin a little bit less? When you start to do all that, you're going to have a very educated opinion. That would be the direction that I would send you in. Okay.
Okay. This one from RW. And this is not related to the last question, but he says, good stuff, Michael. But how do we know this if we don't have access to TrackMan? Okay. That was before when you were doing your rotation.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I believe. One, I don't know that you necessarily need to have a launch monitor or a simulator. You need to own one of those. What you need to do is you need to find somebody that has one, make a phone call to a club or whatever. And then, I'm a huge believer in investing in yourself. I tell people all the time, don't ask people to invest in you if you're not prepared to invest in yourself. And so if you call somebody up and you say, hey, I know I'm not a member at your club, but I'm wondering if you allow non-members to come over there and take a golf lesson or use your launch monitor. I'll pay you for it. I want to find out some things, maybe get fit for a club or whatever. Maybe you don't even have to buy a club, just go to get fit for it and just look at numbers, see what the numbers tell you. So that's one of the things that I would do. There also is, by the way, popping up all over the place, including one that I'm involved with in Connecticut. There are these public facilities that are with simulators like what I have, About Golf simulators, which are the best. And they're the best because they measure side spins accurately. They measure back spins accurately, far better than any of the other simulators. And what you're going to end up doing, go find a place that has an About Golf simulator or a simulator as a whole, and then hit some balls and see what happens. If I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the golf ball here, right? So again, this is a Pro V1X golf ball that I'm hitting, which is the ball that I play. Make sure it's in the green. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit this tee shot. Okay. And now, whoops, I hit a radical slice. I can't use that one. So that's not going to be one that I'm going to show you. That was a radical slice. Yeah, not even the ball speed, club head speed that I swing at. So this one is a good one. This is the shot shape that I typically will play at. Now, not the typical club head speed that I normally play at or the ball speed that I normally play at, but it does have the shot shape that I want. So that ball started a little to the right, just a bit, but it also spun to the right, 371 RPMs of right spin there. So I got a little bit of a block on that one, but the backspin was at 2,562. So that's pretty much what I want to play at. I want to play a little bit lower. I'd like to maybe be at 2,400, and that number will come down, and other things will come down as the club head speed goes up and the ball speed goes up. But my point to you is this, that what you want to do is you want to get to a place that has this, and then look at these numbers: backspin, side spin. That's what's going to tell you. Backspin, side spin. Launch angle at 12. I normally am going to launch that a little bit higher at 14. And if I launch that a little higher and I'm not swinging so down on that thing, then I'm not going to have as much backspin. So, but that's close. When you start getting 3,300s and 3,500s, now you got a problem. And so what you got to do is you got to take your equipment, you got to get the golf ball that you play, you got to get into a simulator or a launch monitor and find it. Don't let that "I don't have one" be the excuse. Make some phone calls. Find somebody that has them. Ask somebody if I can come over there. Hey, you know what? I'd like to come over. Maybe use your, do you rent out your TrackMan? Do you allow people to hit balls there for 30 minutes? I'll pay you for the 30 minutes of using the TrackMan. Or I'll get a lesson for 30 minutes, and all you got to do is just watch me hit balls with your TrackMan, and I'll pay for it. And then you'll get your numbers. Okay. I also like to use there's a company called the Quad. They make a quad. I love that product a lot. You got to tape up the club, which is good, but it'll give you some numbers on the golf ball. A great product. And then of course, inside, in all the research I've done about golf is really the best. They're the best at giving you the number that you're looking for, seeing what goes out. And the number I'm looking for, the only number I'm really kind of looking for. I know ball speed and club head speed are attractive to look at and blah, blah, blah. Everybody can measure what goes on with those things. The spin of the ball is vital. It's vital. You have to be able to get that accurately. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Greg.
All right. This one from Steve. What is the optimal travel of the arms and the hands while you're generating this max shoulder and hip turn?
Boy, I don't know that there is an optimal number. I don't know. I mean, everybody's different. You know, if I go back over here, and I go to the backswing here, there's Sam Snead. Now, if I go into some of my tour swings, and let's just take John Rahm. So there's John's arm swing. That arm swing has gone that far. His arm swing, Sam Snead's, has gone that far. Now, they couldn't be more different, but they're pretty optimal for each guy. These guys he was a great player. He is a great player. These are totally different swings, totally different hip movements. There's not a lot of hip movement there in that backswing. There's a pile of hip movement there. So there is no optimal. There's individual, and that a lot also depends on the shot shape that you're trying to create. Okay. All right, go ahead, Gregory.
Okay, this one from Adam. I have a tendency to start the downswing with my arms and shoulders, especially when trying to swing aggressively, which feels like it ruins body rotation. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, I do. And I, this sounds crazy, but this is what I would do. Home Depot, Lowe's, buy yourself a 6-foot string or rope, fold it in half and swing it. You start with your hands, you're going to hit yourself in the side with this thing. You start with your body, it's going to whip all the way around and you're going to get a full finish. So this thing here is a great instructional device, and just swing it. And what you're going to get a feeling of is you're going to get a feeling of the body rotating. So you take it back, it gets stuck on your body, it stays there. You rotate down, it's still stuck on your body. The only way you can bring it through hands and everything is to rotate and then fling it from there. Your arms just expand off your chest at that point. So you rotate and expand. Rotate and expand. And that's when all of a sudden your body starts swinging the rope efficiently, and it starts whipping around and hitting you in your back when you come through the shot. One of the best spends that you can have is a 6-foot rope. Go get one, swing it. Then get your golf club and swing that the same way. It'll feel, I told you, it'll feel so strange, so peculiar, so weird. But eventually what you're going to get a feeling of is your body going and carrying the club through rotation instead of through lateral, or in your case, the arms and hands aren't going to they're not going to extend off the body in the wrong spot. They're going to let the body rotate, and then they extend off the body. Okay? All right, we got time for one more question.
Okay, one more question here. I have a couple of really good ones, so I got to make a a
unilateral decision.
Yeah, I got to make a difficult call.
Okay, go.
All right, let's go with this one from David. I struggle with early extension, especially when I try to hit it harder. What should I do?
Okay, so early extension is basically a statement of your body is not rotating. So if you extend early, you're standing up. You can't stand up and rotate. I mean, that's a figure skating move, right? Kind of coming in here, just a triple sow cow. We're not doing that. This isn't Dorothy Hamill, okay? I'm sorry, it just isn't. What you got to do is you got to feel like there's rotation, but you also have to feel, Gibbsy, and down the line, you also got to feel like your hips are back, your tailbone is back. So there's a rotation that's taking place with your tailbone staying back here. So you get in here and you rotate with your hips back. And one of my favorite things to do, and you're going to need to do a 7 here, is put your butt up against a thing like this. So I don't know if you're over there. Can you get over there with a 7? Maybe with a 1? Can you get over there? There you go. So you put your butt up against this. Now try to back out of that a little bit so they can see the motion here, because I gotta turn. That's right. So what you're going to do is you're going to cross your hands across your chest. You're going to rotate and stay in touch with the bag. Come down here, rotate, 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 and feel that up against the bag there. Do that with a wall. Put your butt up against a wall and work on rotating back that way and then rotating back this way. And then imagine that. Maybe take a set of golf clubs and lean the head of the clubs up against your rear and then start to swing. See if you can keep that back. And you can see the side bend that I have here. When I go like this, that's my early extension. When I'm over here, I have side bend. Early extension is a very, very cool way of saying you've lost your trail side bend through the shot. It's basically what's taking place. Okay. All right. Let me remind you. We've got our poker chip, Blessed Poker Chip ball marker for you. It's $6. We also have the head covers and the hats. You're interested in any of that stuff, send an email to me at newbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. You want to be part of the community? We'd love to have you be part of the community and appreciate you so much joining us over here on YouTube for a New Breed of Golf Live. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow us, tell people about what we're doing. We're slowly gaining the viewers, and we're slowly getting to a point where we're going to be able to add more partners like Morgan Franklin, who we appreciate so much for them joining the team and getting behind what I think is a really important part of golf and golf instruction. That is live interaction that we get to create with you on a weekly basis. So we appreciate Morgan Franklin, as always, being a part of this, but also too, we'd like to add more. And the way we do that is by building the viewership, telling people about what we've got going on. So make sure you share that information with your buddies. Make sure you join us tomorrow on a New Breed of Golf Live. We're going to get you up to date as what's taking place at the Worldwide Technologies Championship. Chesson Hadley, last I checked, was playing some pretty good golf. He was 5 under through 9. In the meantime, I want to thank my two friends, Steve Gibbs and Greg Ducharme, for all their hard work that they put in all the time. And frankly, one of my favorite parts is when these guys just mess up the handshake at the beginning and the end. It's one of my favorite parts of my week, actually, honestly. Like, it's my favorite part of the week is watching these two guys mess that up. In the meantime, what I also appreciate is the liveness of what we do and the lack of the script, which is what this is all about. Why it's so much fun. So I appreciate you joining us. As always, I hope everybody has a great day. Make sure you join us tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio on a New Breed of Golf. I'm Michael Breed. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.